Hello and welcome to The Frame, brought to you by Access Framingham. I'm Brendan Fitzpatrick. We start tonight with a review of the recent election. The unofficial Framingham voting results have been posted, with decisions impacting the City Council, school committee, and more pillars of the local government. One of the most notable results from Tuesday is the changing of the guard in District 8, as Leslie White Harvey has defeated incumbent John Stefanini to win that seat on the City Council, according to the City Clerk's office. The Vice Chair of the Framingham Library Board of Trustees and President of Downtown Framingham Inc.'s Board of Directors, White Harvey is now primed to join the Council after receiving 274 votes compared to Stefanini's 255. Meanwhile, member of Keefe Tech School Committee and DFI's board, Brandon Ward, won the District 2 City Council position. His 684 votes were enough to defeat business owners Sean Silk's 165. Ward will take over for Cesar Stewart Morales, who opted against a re-election bid earlier this year. In District 9, incumbent City Councilor Tracy Bryant won another term. She defeated Parks and Recreation Commission member Jose Ferreira, 126 votes to 43. Ferreira's involvement was notable, as he noted prior to advancing in the district's preliminary vote that he would cease from actively campaigning for the seat. As for the school committee, one new member was elected. Former Director of Health and Wellness for the district, Judy Steyer, went unopposed and will now take over for State Representative for the 6th Middlesex District, Priscilla Souza, in District 5. Souza did not run for re-election for that position. Ricardo Robles won a full term to the school committee in District 1. Meanwhile, he was appointed to that job earlier in the year after Beverly Hugo resigned. Out of a field of 8 in the Board of Library Trustees race, 6 candidates won election. 3 incumbents and 3 new candidates. Re-election was secured by Bob and Annabelle Dodd alongside Janet Harrington, while Julie Wolfe, Cynthia McLean, and Heather Klisch were able to gain more tallies than Mark Duggan and Andrew Makasov. One last race went uncontested. Susan Silva and John Feeney were both re-elected as cemetery trustees. On annual election days that don't involve significant state and federal races, voter turnout numbers tend to be lower, but that didn't stop many Framingham voters from hitting the polls. We caught up with one resident who stressed the importance of participating in local government elections as a means to make your voice heard.
These are the people who represent you directly, and so if you have concerns about zoning, traffic, schools, how we spend our property taxes and things like that, these are the people who are making decisions.
Meanwhile, the Framingham School Building Committee has been created through an executive order from Mayor Charlie Sisitsky. This comes as the city continues their efforts to replace Hemingway Elementary School on Water Street with a new site on the city's south side. The committee has been formed as a way to help in that process since the Massachusetts School Building Authority mandates that Framingham needs to form a committee to monitor their approval efforts. Sisitsky was authorized by the Framingham School Committee and City Council to enter negotiations with the Sisters of St. Joseph, the current owners of property along Bethany Road, to acquire the land and replace Hemingway. A $9 million price for the plot has been agreed upon between the city and the sisters, according to Sisitsky's comments to the City Council's Finance Subcommittee back in August. As for the School Building Committee itself, it will feature 13 members, those with engineering, construction, or architecture experience, alongside school committee and city council members, as well as local parents of public school students. The deadline to apply for the Framingham School Building Committee is Friday, December 1st. A grant program is being launched by Massachusetts officials for local organizations to set up short-term sites for emergency shelters. The state's Emergency Assistance Director, Lieutenant General Scott Rice, provided the update during a press conference on Tuesday. This comes as the emergency shelter capacity in Massachusetts has nearly reached its max capacity with the increase in the amount of migrant families who have come to the state in recent months. Back in mid-October, Governor Maura Healey confirmed that the system can only handle 7,500 families at most.
As you know, Massachusetts is in a new phase of this challenge. We do not have enough shelter space, service providers, or funding to continue to safely expand beyond 7,500 families.
The United Way of Massachusetts Bay will administer the $5 million program alongside the state, as volunteer organizations, faith-based groups, and other local establishments will be given funding to set up overnight shelters for those waitlisted for the main shelter program. This will be funded through the federal government, according to Rice, who added that additional Massachusetts National Guard members have also been activated for assistance. Framingham has been one of many Massachusetts communities impacted by the migrant influx. Sheltering efforts have been aided by groups such as Jewish Family Services of Metro West and the Community Foundation of Metro West.
We have a number of community partners that are stepping up now in the short term and as we move into the United Way program.
Rice added that the number of additional Massachusetts sites comes down to the United Way's call, as well as the number of groups available. In the meantime, plans are still on for a work authorization clinic next week in an attempt to get more migrants registered to work into stable housing and out of the shelter system entirely. Another work authorization clinic is being scheduled for the week after Thanksgiving, as state officials continue to try and speed up the work authorization and job training process. Multiple Metro West communities, including Framingham, will benefit from state funding aimed at improving land use along Interstate 90. Representatives from Framingham, alongside Natick, Newton, Watertown, and Wellesley, comprise the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, the group which will develop ways to improve the area thanks to the grant. That money, which was a part of a total of $1.4 million earmarked by the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, will aim to boost climate change resiliency, develop a more sustainable environment, create more diverse housing options locally, and more. Head to our website if you want to learn more about what's covered on our program, www.theframe.news. Information that matters to your community, such as stories like these, alongside traffic and weather updates, are all covered there. Sign up for our newsletter on the website to keep in touch with The Frame during the week as well. And if you've got a tip for us, email us at theframe@accessfram.tv or give us a call. Our line is 508-216-0003. Shifting gears to our weekly focus now. A very special birthday was celebrated at the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency this past weekend. It's been 60 years since MEMA, originally known as the Massachusetts Civil Defense Agency, built their emergency bunker. The Cold War-era bunker was a part of a larger plan devised by President Kennedy to ensure government continuity in the event of a nuclear attack. The Frame's photojournalist Mackenzie Wright joins us now to share more. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Brendan, as you mentioned, MEMA is headquartered right here in Framingham and is proud to call that historical bunker home. The bunker was built to withstand a 20-megaton bomb at a time when nuclear war between the United States and Soviet Union was a significant threat. Operations within that bunker, however, have evolved quite a bit over the past 6 decades. Now it supports a dedicated team of emergency management officials who serve the Commonwealth in times of great hardships, like the Boston Marathon bombing, for example, or severe weather events. Those officials tell us that honoring their hardworking team was really what this birthday celebration was all about.
We must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings.
This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the nation.
President Kennedy had this initiative. They also took into account there would be 300 people that would be working underground for up to 30 years.
60 years ago in 1963, this was a nuclear bunker that was built to protect the people who were here to protect the public.
Going around these right-angled corners does not allow gamma radiation to follow them down the pathway.
And although it's changed over the years, but it's always served as the place where the Commonwealth brings people, agencies, and organizations together to keep people safe in times of disaster, ranging from the Merrimack gas explosion to COVID-19 to the Boston Marathon bombing and countless blizzards, nor'easters, floods, Hurricane Bob, it goes on.
This room would be organized based on the needs of the event.
I know we're here to recognize the 60th birthday of the bunker, but really what this is about are the people who work in the bunker.
So it's a bit of an adventure getting down here, but we're happy you're here.
Who work with, collaborate, communicate, and really get the job done in some of the toughest times that this Commonwealth has to face.
It's really the selfless and hardworking people who show up here every day to protect the citizens of the Commonwealth who really deserve our celebration.
Well, I got to tell you, I've seen from over all these years the worst that the world can bring out on people, being down in the bunker, I've seen the best that can come out from people.
Some of the folks at MEMA have been here 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more. But today I'm especially thrilled to honor 2 of our incredible team members for outstanding performance. Faye and Katie, we cannot thank you both enough for your more than 40 years of service to the Commonwealth, and I am so honored to be able to present these citations to you both.
It's very different to know when most people are home hunkered down, I'm running in the opposite direction. But when you realize the mission that we perform and that we're here to help any and everyone, it makes just a huge difference. You don't really give it a second thought, put it that way. And again, the leadership, it's just, I probably almost would want to think to myself, oh, we're going to get bad weather. I want to be here with these folks.
You mentioned, some of humanity's worst days and seeing some of that. Do you have certain things that come to mind?
It's 9/11. All these years that I've been down in the bunker, 45 next month, had never seen the blast door shut. And when I got in that morning, the second tower had started to come down. I could cry. It started to come down, and we were down there. I'd never seen it operate that way, and everybody just pulled together, and we did what we had to do, and continuity of government, everyone came down here, and it was just something you'd never really want to. I cry because I think about it. I'm very patriotic, the whole thing, but to see how everyone rallied around, and we were that way for days, and to see how this place could function in what I feel as though was probably the darkest time. It's just amazing. It's a very tight group of people down there. They're family, just as much as my own family is.
To Faye Stewart, on behalf of the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation and recognition of your 45 years of dedicated service to the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, signed Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kimberly Driscoll.
The honor that you received today, what can you tell me about that?
It's probably what's the highest honor you can get? The highest honor.
And what goes through your mind to receive something like that?
It's I love what I do, but to be recognized for that and to get paid, what more could you ask for? Really, I could cry. I'm speechless.
And we want to recognize Katie Bellemare, who was also given a governor's citation from the Healey-Driscoll administration. We appreciate the service herself and all members of the MEMA team provide to our communities. And of course, we wish the MEMA bunker a happy 60th birthday. For The Frame, I'm Mackenzie Wright.
And thank you very much for that, Mackenzie. Now let's take a look at our weather now and what we can expect heading into the weekend. Friday should be mostly cloudy with highs in the low 50s and lows in the mid 30s. Expect a mostly sunny outlook for Veterans Day on Saturday with highs in the upper 40s and lows cooling down into the mid to upper 20s. And on Sunday, there should be lots of more sunshine with highs in the mid 40s and lows in the mid 20s. A reminder that you can find us on Instagram. For daily updates, follow @FrameNews_ and tag us if you're out and about in the community. Subscribe to the Access Framingham YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new episodes of The Frame go live as well. And speaking of Veterans Day, we begin our look at what else is happening in our community with a preview of upcoming commemorations. Framingham will honor those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces on Saturday, which is Veterans Day, with a number of local memorials and services. A tour throughout the city will assemble at 7:45 that morning at the Memorial Building before leaving at 8. From there, vets from all conflicts in the nation's history will be recognized at multiple memorials and points of interest, starting at the Lieutenant Clifford Carter Memorial Corner. That will be followed by services at Buckminster Square, the Memorial Library at the Center Common, Corporal James McGrath Square, the Sergeant Malin Barker Memorial, Veterans Park, and the Sergeant Stanley Urowich Memorial Square. At 11 a.m., a ceremony will be held back at the Memorial Building. U.S. Representative for the 5th Massachusetts District and House Minority Whip Catherine Clark will be speaking at the event alongside Mayor Sisitsky and local military officials. We here at The Frame want to take a moment to thank all veterans for their service and sacrifice to our country. Local residents were recently introduced to a new educational resource this week. We took a visit to Lexington Street to learn more. The opening of the Framingham Public Library's renovated technology learning and homework centers was commemorated through a ribbon-cutting ceremony held earlier in the week. Mayor Charlie Sisitsky and President of the Massachusetts Senate Karen Spilka were just some of the notable people in attendance at Monday's event along Lexington Street. The Homework Center underwent work prior to reopening, while the Technology Learning Center is a new feature at the site. Students from kindergarten through high school can get free tutoring, as the mayor noted that these new resources are already being taken advantage of by local community members.
Our library in Framingham is much more than just a depository for books. It brings all these new services to the residents, and it's a terrific operation here.
Spilka thanked members of the local delegation on Beacon Hill, including State Representative for the 7th Middlesex District, Jack Patrick Lewis, who was also in attendance, for their assistance in securing $100,000 for these upgrades to the Framingham Public Library.
I know I'm not the only one who believes that libraries really do matter. They matter more than ever before as sanctuaries for free thought and free expression, a common civic space, and as we celebrate today, it's a place for residents to access the technology they need.
Framingham Public School officials are now soliciting feedback from the community as they look to hire their new assistant superintendent for equity, belonging, and community engagement. According to the job posting online, that person will look to, quote, promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, educational and employment opportunities, and cultural fluency, end quote, through assistance in matters like developing curriculum, as well as recruiting and retaining staff. An online survey has been created. Now through November 17th, residents will have the opportunity to give their perspective on the matter, while Framingham Public Schools continues to evaluate the community's needs. School officials say the new assistant superintendent will begin shortly following the turn of the new calendar year. And lastly, Framingham residents can now have their leaves collected along their curbsides. The city's sanitation division has started collections and will continue to do so through the end of November. With the exception of holidays, leaves will be picked up alongside regular trash and additional yard waste and brush during regular weekend collection times. We'd like to take the time now to let you know that The Frame is an initiative of your local community media center, Access Framingham. We're able to bring you The Frame each week thanks to them at their Vernon Street studios. The Frame airs on AFTV weekdays at noon and 7 p.m., as well as on Saturdays and Sundays at noon. Access Framingham can be found on RCN Channel 3, RCN HD Channel 1100, Comcast Channel 9, and Verizon Channel 43. To learn more, head to www.accessfram.tv. That's all the time we have for this week's Framingham News in Focus. For everyone at The Frame, thanks for spending your time with us tonight. I'm Brendan Fitzpatrick. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.